What's up, y'all? What's good? Welcome to the What Up Dope Show. It's your boy Dame D, and I am back with another one. Today is Freestyle Friday, and we just gonna be chopping it up. And before I start the show up, I need for you guys to like, comment, subscribe, and share. We've been having a lot of people watching, but not hitting that like button, not hitting that subscribe button, and not sharing. But yeah, today is Freestyle Friday. Just checking in, seeing how everybody's Friday been going on, man. I'm just now touching down from work not too long ago. How about them goddamn Tigers losing that game? It was a great game, but we should have won that game. There's no way, we should have let that series get away from us. But it is what it is. It's Freestyle Friday. I'm seeing who all up. I have a few things that I want to talk about and chop it up about, depending on, who all shows up and who wants to talk. But we are here. I'm live over here on Facebook, and we are live over here on YouTube. Yeah, man, like I said, it was a good game, great game. Our pitchers pitched a really great game, but we blew that game. We should have had that. We should have been moving on to face Toronto. It was a disappointing loss. And a lot, and one thing I can say, I don't even know if I'm not gonna say we didn't deserve to be. The way we ended the regular season, was horrible. And then had to go into the playoffs, as a wild card like that when we should have won the division. But like I said, it was a good game overall. Second time this happened to us with Seattle, and it's happened once before, and I believe when Rodriguez hit the game winning run to advance Seattle over Detroit. Yeah, man, like I said, it's Freestyle Friday, just check in. Like I said, I watched that Tigers game today. It was a game that we should have won with no problem. We were up. One thing about baseball, the momentum can shift from inning to inning. In that game, it actually did. Um, and one thing about that sport is you got to have great pitchers. And both sides did. It was a great series. Detroit, we jumped up 1-0. Um, we allowed Seattle to win the next two. We end up winning game 4 to tie it up. And today's game was it was a game that we should have won. We jumped out. I'm not going to say we jumped out early, but we took the lead. I believe we had the lead into the 7th, or we took the lead. And we ended up letting them, come back, and then into the extra innings. To me, was always putting runners in scoring position, and we were never ever able to bring these guys home. And I just couldn't to bring that scoring run that we always had in almost every extra inning that we went, and we was never able to bring that run in. And I just didn't understand that. But and like I said, it was a great game on both sides from the pitching staffs. You know, and I'll just leave that at that. Disappointed loss. The Tigers should have won that. But like I said, how they finished the regular season off, it kind of carried on into the postseason. I mean, yeah, pretty much into the postseason. But yeah, I need for you guys to like, comment, subscribe, and share. The comment section is open. I'll go over here to Facebook, and matter of fact, let me see if you guys if I can be heard over here on YouTube clearly. Check my audio. I'll go over here to Facebook, and matter of fact, let me see if you guys. Okay, so I can be heard over here. So let me jump out here real quick and go over to Facebook to make sure I can be heard over there. Okay, so what up, though? You know what I want to say? What up, though, to all my Facebook family and friends. You know, we over here live. You know, we just chopping it up. It's Freestyle Friday. Um, so you guys are more than welcome to come in. If you want to come in and join the show, come on over to YouTube. Um, DM me and I'll send you a link and you'll be able to come in. I'm just talking about any and everything right now. I'm talking about this Tigers game that they blew. That I believe that they should have won that series and should have moved on, but they did not. Seattle was moving on. We should have been playing Toronto, but Seattle was moving on to play Toronto. It was a good pitching game. Both pitching staffs, both teams had a great pitching staffs. It was a good game to watch. And for the youth growing up and for youngsters that's into school, and hopefully my homeboy Londale Bright is watching this. I was a pitcher growing up in little league through high school, and it was a good game, to watch. Far as for the youth to be able to watch, to see what it takes to be, a major league pitcher, and how to throw a slider, because nowadays you have to be able to throw a slider. Those sliders are deadly. A lot of our, that's where we struggle today. You know, a lot of the pitchers that they had out there were great at throwing sliders, and we failed at, late at being able to hit that sliding ball. But yeah, it's Freestyle Friday. I had a few topics, like I said, I want to talk about. It just all depend on who jumped in, and who want to conversate, or like I said, it just depends on you know, how many of you guys jumped in who all want to come in and conversate, but like I said, it's Freestyle Friday. I'm here chopping it up. I'm by myself, having no guests. So you are my guests, you guys are the audience. So I'm chopping it up with you. Like I said, we are live on YouTube and Facebook, and right now we're just talking about that horrible loss by the Tigers. We gave up, we literally gave up that game. We gave up that series. Yeah. So we got to root for other teams. We got Michigan tomorrow, and then we got them Lions Sunday. It's going to be a great weekend for and that's why I wanted this game, and that's why the Tigers should have been able to pull this game out because it was going to be a great weekend for Michigan sports. With the Wolverines coming in, and then the Lions on a definitely they're rolling on all cylinders, getting ready to head up to Kansas City. Yep. So, like I said, I just want to chop it up and see who all was going to come in and who was all up. I know it's a little late over here on the East Coast world, or the Midwest, I should say. Where I'm at. All right. So, like I said, I am live over here on YouTube. If you guys want to come on in and join the chat, DM me, and I will bring you in, and you can chop it up with me. Yeah. All right. So I just want to make sure everything was everything over there on Facebook, and it is, and we can be here. So now I'm back live over here on YouTube. But yeah, it's Freestyle Friday. Um, I had a few things that I did want to talk about that I am going to talk about. I don't know if I'm going to talk about it tonight. I'm gonna wait and see how many people join and chime in. I want to talk about this conversation. And one thing I can say, I've been using this new streaming services, and what I've noticed that my views have went down since I've been using the StreamYards, and I don't understand that. It seemed like it should have been the opposite, but it is what it is. Yeah, but How about them Lions, man? We are rolling. We getting ready to head into Kansas City. Where they are struggling. They are on I believe, a two-game losing streak. Um, they're 500 or under. I believe they're 2-2, so they are at 500. And it's going to be a it's going to be a good game, a great game. Kansas City is going to come out there firing on all cylinders, because they need this win. I believe if they take a L right here, I'm not going to say that their season is over, but it's going to be hard to be able to, win the division and to be able to have a good seed if you're able to make the playoff. I think this is a game that that their offense definitely is going to have to show up, because you have these Lions, our Lions, getting ready to come into town. That's you know that's, I'll say, number one, the number one offense in the league. But at the same time, we have some struggles. We have some problems. The last two games, a win is a win, but I do not like how we got those wins offensively, I should say. Even though we put up numbers, that was a little bit um, deceiving, I should say. Because there was a lot of mistakes made, especially in that last game. Our offensive line gave up quite a few sacks, and then the offense looked a little stagnant. I'm not going to say at one point, but at a lot of points. And I'm not going to say that the defense, that we played the last 2 weeks were not good defenses, but we have not been able really to get the running game going at all. Which opens up the passing game. So if you really don't have a running game, they'll just keep, most defenses will key in, on the passing game, and then rely on their, front four linebackers to be able to stop the running game. And sometimes really, they'll drop the linebackers back in coverage, and rely on the front four or five. But yeah, the chat is open. We have a few people watching. I need I want you guys to comment, uh, definitely interact with your boy. How has your Friday been going on? It's Friday. Technically now it's Saturday, but for most of us, well, still for a lot of people, for those that's on the West Coast, it's still Friday. But yeah, it's going to be a good week. And then I did a short. I said by week three. I said by week three, end of or week by end of week four, there will not be any undefeated teams, and I believe that it went an extra week. I said week. I think really week three. I believe all 32 teams had took the L by week 5, I believe. So I was 2 weeks off, but I knew it was going to be, I knew no team were going to go late in the season undefeated because of the scheduling, and then not only that, the teams of today has definitely, made the league a little bit more competitive. You definitely, any given Sunday, any team can win. It's not like how things were when I were growing up, watching the NFL, when you had just a few dominant teams. Pittsburgh, which is one of my teams that I've always watched and enjoyed to watch as a kid. Dallas, they always dominated. And let me see, New York at one point, the Giants, with LT, they dominated. And it was just a few of those old school teams. So, but now you have what you still have a lot of those teams that still dominate, but you have a lot. It's a lot more competitive all around the league. Which makes it, for a good game, and makes it for just a great, NFL season. In the NFL, they did a great job with matching up, you know, uh, the teams. They also, it was a great job at that. That's why I said that and made that call. That I thought that it would not be any undefeated teams by week 3, but I was off by a couple of weeks. Yeah. So, but yeah, you got some great games coming up this week. But like I said, the Lions, we have that late game. We got the prime time game against Kansas City. It's gonna be a great game. Kansas City, they're bleeding bad, and we like the shark. We smell the blood and the water. Um, you see what we did to Baltimore. We actually showed the lead and gave the lead the blueprint on how to shut your boy Lamar Jackson down. And the last two teams that faced him, before he went out with the injury, kind of went on that same blueprint. And now he's pretty much, I'm not gonna say be done for the season, but that team, their playoff hopes, Super Bowl hope season maybe over with. So but yeah, that's one thing I will say the NFL did a great job at doing scheduling this season, I should say. Yeah. But what's going on with you guys out there? How's your week? How's the end of your week been? Tell me what games are you looking forward to watching this Sunday, this weekend? I'm gonna jump back over here to Facebook and see if we have any chats or anything over there. I tell you what, I want to give a shout out to my high school. They always throwing events. I'm gonna try to make it. This is 2 weeks away from the biggest old school party to hit the D. I want to give a shout out to LaFon Fielder. She always with Big Brian Ferguson. They always put things together. That's what I will say that about my high school. Give a shout out Mumford Mustangs in the house. They're having 2 weeks away from the biggest old school party to hit the D. Grab a friend, grab your ticket. It's an old school, like type theme party. Where you have, it's going to be a good time, great time. If you guys are interested in going, get in contact with your girl LaFon Builder on Facebook. It's always a good time. You know, um, I'm gonna try to attend the event. But it's always something. Yeah, but what's going on out there in the D, y'all? What's good, man? Them Tigers took that was a horrible loss. Like I said, I'm upset. I'm not having a good night thus far. Them Tigers took a big L, which I believe they should have won that game. They were out coached. They were out pitched. Which it was a great pitching, a great game to watch. Like I said in the beginning, if you had youth that were, expiring to, be pitchers, that was a great game to be able to sit, your team down or your pitchers down and have them watch that game and, and see the different types of speeds, the different type of pitches that they were throwing, because, most people don't know that until you baseball is pretty much the hardest like team sport, out there to play. Most people can't hit, a fastball, let alone a changeup, or a curveball or a slider. You know, um, and I wish my homeboy Londale Bright was in the comment section, because he can contest. I competed against him, through high school, throughout high school and football and baseball. You know what I mean? It was just, baseball was my first love. I moved from the east side to the west side, and I just fell in love with baseball. At an early age. It was a great game, and I always tell most youth that I encounter with, basketball is cool, football is cool, but definitely, try baseball. Baseball is like I said, it's the harder sport, out of all sports to play. And most people don't think that and know that. And then like I said, not only that, if you can master that and become great at that, it's the highest paying sport out of the three. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, and then to me, baseball is fun. I love baseball. I can sit down and watch a good Tigers, game and a good Yankees game. I'm a Yankees fan. I've always enjoyed watching the Yankees. As a kid, wanted to be on the Yankees. In the league that we played in, but wasn't able to be on that team. But it's a long, and I'm gonna have that conversation. I end up being on the most horriblest team, in my little league. I remember that winning the game. We were like that. We went from that winning the game, to like, the next year, because I believe I was on that team for 4 years. We went from like not winning the game to winning some games to winning more games. And then my last year, we ended up winning the championship. You know what I mean? I pitched in that game. It was a good game. Yeah. Mhm. Matter of fact, I got to ask Lundell that question if he ever, if, because he were on some great teams too. He played with the Tigers, and I got to ask him if he ever won the PAL baseball championship because he won a lot of championships, but I don't know if he won any in baseball era. But yeah, but back to them Tigers, man. It was a great game but a horrible loss, in my opinion. So I'm not gonna continue to talk about that and dreading over that, so I'll get back on to the Lions or move on to those guys. So Lions it's going to be a good game because definitely Kansas City they bleeding. They need a win bad. So they're going to be coming out there. Trying to get it going. But that defense, I think, the Detroit Lions defense to me, will be able to overcome and succumb that Kansas City offense, with the pressure from that front five, man, it's going to be just too much pressure. We may get 5 sacks or more. Meaning that and it really, and I'll be honest, it depends on how our secondary, is going to look out there. We have a few injuries in the secondary. I'm going to definitely go and look up the injury report tomorrow. I have not looked at the injury report, but I believe I know you know, I believe Terrion, he's going to be out. Um, what's his name? Branch, he was hurt, but he's game to game. Which is Kirby, he was game to game, but he played last week. But then I just have to look at it. It's going to be a good game. Hopefully those boys will be able to come out there like how we did a few years ago when we went down to Kansas City, first game of the year. And get that W. You know, um, But yeah, it's going to be a good game. Can't wait. Um, and it's a primetime game, so we'll have everybody. We'll have all the fans watching. It's all Jared Goff. He normally always has, a great prime time game. It should be great weather down in Kansas City. I have to look up the weather, but we're definitely going to be doing a live broadcast during that game. So I definitely want you guys to join in, tap in. Um, and like I said, I'm able to bring multiple people in now, using the new system that I'm using. So if like I said, if you guys want to come in and join, you just have to DM me or just come in and send me your email and I'll be able to send you a link and be able to bring you guys in. But I'm not gonna like I said, I had a few things that I want to talk about. It was just all depending on who was coming in, who tapped in. It's a little late. I started a little late today, get off work late today, um, and got a late start. So it's a little late over, like I said, over here in the Midwest and on the East Coast. But we're definitely going to be tapping in and chiming in tomorrow, watching that Lions game. Um, we'll probably do it. Well, not probably. Probably going to do a pregame show. Talking about the other games before, because like I said, we have the prime time game. And then not only that, it's after 12. So I want to wish Real Talk with Big Dave happy birthday. I need for you guys to go over there and hit that subscribe button on this channel. He would definitely appreciate that. You know what I mean? It's his birthday. He works hard at what he do, so going on over there and bless him with a subscription. You know what I mean? So like I said, I just want to come in for a little bit and chop it up. It was Freestyle Friday. I want to talk about them Tigers. It was a disappointing loss. I can't believe we lost that game. That was a game that we had right there. Even in extra innings, we always had a man on in scoring position. In scoring position, but we was never able to bring him on. Another that is devastating loss to the Mariners. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to rebound, and get things going on for next year for the Tigers. But right now, we got them Lions, them Wolverines playing tomorrow. And the Lions on Sunday, and then we getting ready to start up the Pistons. So I just hated that. That was a bummer watching them Tigers lose. But like I said, man, we didn't look good. We didn't finish great at the end of the season, so it kind of carried on. But look, I need for you guys to like, comment, subscribe, and share. I want to thank everybody who has subscribed to the channel thus far. I need for you guys to make sure that you like and make sure that you share. It gets the content out, more people able to see me, and the channel is able to grow. So I'm not going to hold you up. It's your boy Dame D, and I am out. Peace.